You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
Welcome to the halfway point. Feel free to step out and have a look around. Just make sure you leave the door open if you're planning to step back between parallel universes. It's Monday, 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern, and we are here for you. So that must mean it's time for Mission Log Live. I'm John Champion.
And I'm Holly Amos, and you are in the right place, obviously. We're back to talk about the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery, Mirrors. So click on the Zoom link or give us a call, 669-900-6833, because we want to hear from you.
Yes, like Holly just said, join us. Don't be shy with your opinions, insights, and burning questions. Earl is here patiently holding down the Earl Green Room, so why not make his night and give him a call? Again, just click the Zoom or give us a call, 669-900-6833.
And while you're meeting Earl, why don't we say hi to all of you in the chat?
There was some bit of talk before we went live because we remarked that Mark and then Scott Palm kind of beat everybody to the punch, and we were waiting for a Bob Amos. But he was right there. He was pretty quick to it. So welcome, everybody. Mark, Scott, David, Bob, of course. Let's see. We have a Paul Harvath and a Paul Wright. We might get Paul Fecta. We might have all three in there tonight. There's Dom. Who else we got in there? We got Carlos, and we got Alan and Jane. Good to see a lot of the Discord family joining us live tonight. That is really nice to see. There's Ryan, Laura. There's just so many people joining. Oh, we got two Daves. So wait, 3 Daves, I think. So welcome to all the Daves.
Dave Fecta?
Yeah, we have a Dave Fecta. They're encroaching on the Paul majority here. So good to see all of you. Welcome to the show. A lot to talk about tonight. So Holly, we will get into the recap here in just a moment, but why don't you tell people what's happening in Roddenberry podcasts?
Well, you should follow them all at podcast.roddenberry.com and make sure to also like and subscribe to our content, youtube.com/Roddenberry Entertainment, like the video you're watching right now.
Yes, and I would give a special shout out to Earl and Norman, who have been absolutely killing it on genealogy. They just today started their coverage of Have Gun Will Travel.
I'm so excited.
I know, right? Gene wrote over 20 episodes of Have Gun. Of course, that was a long-running and very popular show. He's probably, other than Star Trek, maybe best known for that in his early TV career. And let me just say that, right away, like clockwork, Doug Drexler already on it. He's so excited because that is his favorite show, one of his favorite shows growing up. Sign up for Genealogy if you haven't yet. Have Gun started today. And of course, there's all the great content shows that you've never heard of because they never got made. We covered them. So that's a lot of fun. And then a very special away mission for Mission Log the Orville starts soon. Can't give you a specific date, but let me just say very, very soon. Pay attention. Follow at ML the Orville on Twitter, or definitely follow us at Mission Log Pod, whether it's on X, formerly known as Twitter, or on Facebook, or however you get your podcast news, because Mike and Jessica have something very special lined up. A short-run series. I believe it'll be 8 episodes starting, again, very soon. You do not want to miss it. And you can follow all the fun at podcasts.roddenberry.com. By the way, Carlos in the chat mentioning one of my favorite songs of all time. These are the Daves I know. And we believe we have 3 Daves. Yes.
One of the Pauls recognized my shirt.
You did? Oh, do you want to explain your shirt?
I'm sure most people know what it is, but I did have to explain it to you. So.
You had to explain it to me. Would you say most people? I
feel like the internet is aflush with this particular meme.
Okay.
So for those of you who don't know, next to Star Trek, one of my biggest fandoms is NSYNC. I've been a fan since I was a kid. I was a fan of the Mickey Mouse Club. 2 of the members of the Mickey Mouse Club made NSYNC. Anyways, they have a song called It's Gonna Be Me. Justin very famously mispronounces me as May, so now it's a meme. But my birthday is also in May, so it's particularly special to me, and I have the It's Gonna Be May shirt, because it is going to be May in 2 days.
Good times all around. So much to celebrate, whether you're an NSYNC fan or a Holly fan or both. You can be all of the above. Yeah. Oh, and Paul Wright says, I have a birthday in May, so I love it.
Yay,
all right. Well,
May
happy
babies.
preemptive birthday to you, Paul. Lots to celebrate there. All right, so let's jump into the recap, if you will indulge me, and it'll be time to talk about Discovery, Season 5, Episode 5, Mirrors. Here we go. Maul and Locke took off, but Discovery is in pursuit. In the downtime, Book has a moment to be reflective about Maul and his own journey, noting that no matter how bad things get, the one thing you always have is a choice. Arriving at the end of the warp trail for Maul and Locke's ship, Discovery encounters an almost hidden wormhole of sorts, masking the entrance to an interdimensional space. The aperture is opening and closing, an eddy of matter and antimatter, but Burnham and Book will take a heavily fortified shuttle in, leaving a somewhat reluctant Rayner in command of Discovery. On the other side of the aperture, Burnham and Book find the debris of Maul and Locke's ship caught in a violent storm of nebula gases. But there's a chance they survive by taking refuge on the much larger ship parked there, the Enterprise. The ISS Enterprise, to be exact, trapped there for some unknown reason. Meanwhile, on Discovery, they've lost communications with the shuttles, so Stamets, Adira, and Tilly are teching the tech in order to find a new way to reach Burnham and Book. One way is to force the aperture open, but there's a risk that they'll collapse the whole thing forever, so they'll need to tread carefully. On board the ISS Enterprise, the story is coming together. Burnham IDs 3 signatures from their own universe, presumably Maul, Locke, and the next clue that the scientists hid there centuries ago. Then there's the ship itself, apparently departed from the Empire after a mutiny of sorts led by Mirror Saru, maybe? Maybe the people on the Enterprise carved out a better life for themselves, as evidenced by the family artifacts on board and the lack of escape pods. Burnham spots a locket, and she secrets it away with a little piece of her 32nd century tech. Onward, Burnham and Book push through to the sickbay where they find Maul and Locke, and Maul and Locke and Maul and Locke. There's just so many of them since they're using a holo emitter as camouflage. No problem, the shooting starts, and eventually Burnham and Book have them cornered. Sure, Maul and Locke try to talk their way out of it since they have the progenitor clue, but remember, the locket that Burnham tucked away, well, she fools them to thinking that's really the clue, so they should all leave now since there's no other way out back to Discovery. They're all still reluctant, though, since it seems that stakes are much, much higher. Locke is Breen, and he's got an Eriga on him, which means a blood bounty. They are all after him, but Maul seems to be the only one who can help. But why? Time for a flashback. Back when Maul was just running to lithium shipments, she kind of got caught cutting her supply. The Breen were going to execute her, but she had a budding relationship with the outcast nephew of the Primarch. When Locke killed the guards and wounded his own uncle who had captured her, the Breen put the blood bounty on him, and these two have been doing a Bonnie and Clyde routine ever since. So on the ISS Enterprise, the distrust and the shooting start all over again, but sickbay's containment fields are activated, cutting Burnham and Locke off from the others. Book and Maul will have to cooperate, drop those fields from the bridge. They do, sort of, and a power surge frees Burnham and Locke, who then go back to fighting each other. Locke started it, and he also ends it when he accidentally stabs himself, which gives Burnham the opportunity to lift the authentic clue artifact right out of Locke's hands. He'll be okay, but now it's even more urgent that these 4 leave together and figure it all out some other time. Because you see, the aperture is closing, and the shuttle is gone, and the ISS Enterprise is the only way out. Burnham and Book activate a tractor beam, which signals Discovery that something big is coming through. Time for more teching the tech, and, well, you watch the episode. They made it through, and that aperture closed up behind them permanently. Maul and Locke escape in an Enterprise warp pod, of course, but their warp trail will be followed, and the Enterprise itself will go back to HQ, flown by Detmer and Owo. So it's downtime again on Discovery, which leaves Culber some time for reflection about the immensity of it all, the unknown. He and Tilly talk it over in the bar to the soothing sounds of Linus on the keys. Burnham and Book contemplate the next step in the quest for the progenitor's tech, and they are pleased to learn that the mutineers who took off with the ISS Enterprise all those years ago ended up in the Prime Universe and got, respectable day jobs. Come back next week for more disco and more light Saurian jazz. The end. What?
The Wayne's World reference.
The what? yeah. Well, it's when you have. I thought the flashbacks were handled really nicely in this. I liked the intimacy of those scenes and the quick way to build the drama there. I thought that was interesting stuff.
Do you feel like you got enough information to really feel like they're in love with each other?
Well, I didn't the first time I watched it. Then I went back and rewatched it, and maybe somebody out there can correct me if I'm wrong. I wasn't sure if we were in fact watching different moments from different times that she had come to the Breen station, or I think what we were getting is we were getting a flashback that was still some time after they had encountered each other, maybe multiple times.
I hope that it was multiples. Yeah. Otherwise, you know what I kept thinking about? There's this line in the movie Armageddon, of all things, where Bruce Willis's character essentially tells Liv Tyler's character that the only reason why she's like in love with Ben Affleck's character is because of lack of options. And I think about that. Yeah. I think about that a lot. Yeah. I was like, is he just the only Breen that's shown vulnerability that she was like, oh, this is the guy?
Could be, and the stuff that we get out of her backstory about just being abandoned and no family, she's presumably trying to find that connection with someone. He was the one with whom she found some kind of connection, By the way, some comments in the chat here. Laura says the cinematography was beautiful. I absolutely, not only do I agree with you about the cinematography, I love the match cuts that they did from those flashback scenes to the present day on the Enterprise, where they're just kind of framed exactly the same way. And I mean, technically,
they were very, very good transitions.
Really good, really beautiful stuff happening there. I tell you what, my only other big note that I have to say that I have to get out right up front is that whatever the next Star Trek series is that gets announced, I don't care what it is, as long as it is Linus at a piano in a bar. So do anything as long as you do that. All right, let's go to our first caller. We have a lot of people lined up tonight. We got Chris, we got Brandon, Mark, Alan, Cherie, Nani, and Dave. Of course, we will fit everybody in, so if you want to give us a call, now is your time to do it. Welcome to the show, Chris. How's it going?
Hey, guys, I'm doing good. I will say, as someone who grew up with the piano in his house, I appreciated Linus. I don't know that was really him playing. I would like to hear the real audio, but it was a nice moment nonetheless.
Well, wait, no, hang on. Do you play?
I do not play. My mother plays very well. I do not play. I tried to learn, and I couldn't. But yeah,
I didn't have the patience. We also had a piano. I was maybe 6 taking lessons, and I didn't have the patience for it. I wanted to know how to play the piano without putting in the work to learn how to play the piano. Right?
Self-awareness is step 1.
Right. It's been a theme all my life. So it just happened to really manifest itself then. What notes, what comments do you have for the show tonight?
Well, I think we're just gonna rip the Band-Aid off here and say the Enterprise again.
Yeah.
The Mirror Enterprise.
The mirror didn't actually bother me that much. Normally it does. This time, for whatever reason, it didn't. But the fact that it was the Enterprise, and then of course there was really no payoff to that. I was like, come on, guys. There's 12 other Constitution classes. You could have played them.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we just talk about how Reese loves those ships?
Mm-hmm. He did.
Why is he not? Right? Why is he not one of the ones that gets to go? I mean, I understand he's not a pilot, but like, can't he just go with them to fly it back to headquarters? Because
thank you.
Justice for Reese, because we just talked about that.
Yeah. Well, okay. I've got a couple of comments here on this. And the note that I took in all caps, why is everything about the mirror universe and or the Enterprise? And I feel like I would have appreciated that moment so much more if we didn't feel like we had to shoehorn the mirror universe and or the Enterprise into everything. Because I'm fully aware that I'm watching Star Trek, but I'm not convinced that Star Trek is a science fiction franchise about a mirror universe. Like, I don't actually think that's what the whole thing is about. So that drives me insane that we keep going back there. And it drives me. I was talking to somebody the other day about Star Trek's Lake Wobegon problem, where everybody's a captain, every ship is called Enterprise, and now at the end, everybody gets promoted to admiral. So that's like the fact that we keep going back to that drives me absolutely bonkers. However, this would have been a great reveal if we had not seen or heard from the Mirror Universe since 1967. Like, that would have been a really cool thing. That where are you going to hide this? Where are you going to hide this in this place that you have not heard from in forever and ever, because it is so unique and so weird, you know? Then I feel like that payoff would have been a lot better. But now it's like, well, it's Mirror Universe right over there.
Yeah, almost every series
Yeah.
has
It's
visited the Mirror
always
Universe. Yeah.
right there. Yeah. And then I'm starting to feel really bad about these other characters. We mention, oh yeah, Detmer and Elwo, they're flying off to Federation
that was
HQ.
my other thing.
Yeah,
It's like,
right?
where are they? Did
Yeah.
Emily and Oyen like have a scheduling conflict? Like, why are they not here? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my other thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm getting really concerned about the lack of Discovery characters in Discovery. Yeah. But, well, anything else for us, Chris? We're going to move along relatively quickly because we got a lot of people lined up.
No, I mean, the others aside from all the Enterprise stuff, I thought the Rainer B plot was very good. He's coming along nicely. He's thawing. He's doing all that. I will say, here will be my ending note. What do we think citrus mash is? What's our take?
I don't know, but I hope the guys at Star Trek Wines and Spirits figure it out, and we've got a tasting of it in August.
Right, there we go. That's the right answer.
I would like something
great.
I would like something grapefruit.
Ooh,
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was thinking it's like curacao, but you could make like a grapefruit curacao, like kind of a similar process.
I think of all of the citrus that exists in the world, that grapefruit is probably my favorite in mixed drinks.
You know what? I don't disagree with that, and I'm thinking automatically you could make a derby with that. So rye, grapefruit, simple syrup, a twist. Okay.
There we go. We just figured it out. That's what it is.
We did. We're good. All right. Chris, thank you so much. Pleasure to see you as always, and we'll talk again.
Of course. Have a good night, guys. See you around.
All right. Take care. And let's, without further ado, welcome to the show, Brandon. Brandon, how's it going?
Hello. It's going really great. Holly, John, I want to share my comment with you, but first I need you to prove that you're worthy. So I've hidden several clues to its location, but I'm going to help you out in the interest of time. So
okay, good. Thank you.
The first clue I told to my grandma. So as long as she's home and she's not taking a nap, just call her and she'll tell you.
Okay, great. Perfect.
The second, it's under a pile of leaves in my neighbor's backyard. I put it there last autumn. So assuming nothing's happened since then, it should just be right where I left it.
Sure. Yeah.
Now the third requires that you know me kind of well. So you got to make the connection. Well, Brandon lives in Portland, and what does it do in Portland? It rains, and rains are something that you also put on horses. So it's at the racetrack, but the racetrack's actually closed. So I don't.
Oh man. Yeah.
So
so much harder.
It does. And this is how we do security. No, it's so that's just as I'm watching these episodes, I'm just thinking more and more. I'm like, wow, this really could have gone wrong for how you keep your stuff secure, because it's just this thing could have collapsed at just a moment's notice.
Yeah.
And but those jokes aside, I think I found this episode fun to watch and kind of like good if you don't think too much about it. Like Maul and the things that if you think too much about it, you'll notice that Maul and Locke, who are couriers and who are very much not scientists, found and entered this anomaly that took a while for the geniuses of the Discovery Science Department to find. But maybe it was an accident, and they find the Enterprise because, like Alan said, of course it's the Enterprise.
Yeah.
But then their ship gets blown up, and they get stuck on the Enterprise, and the drama happens because they don't have a way off the ship. That isn't with Michael because all the pods and shuttles are gone. And then the drama increases because that shuttle gets sent away and the Enterprise is heading towards the aperture. And oh no, but they get through the aperture, but Maul and Locke escape in a warp pod. And where the hell did that come from?
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
She did promise him that she was going to figure it out.
She's going to figure it out by being like, they didn't actually scan. They just assumed that they were all gone and we're going to,
she built it.
Maul
built it in the 4 minutes that was the window for the aperture to close. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But all of that. Okay, so I realize those are, some of them are nits and some of them are really giant bugs. But what I'm liking about this season so far, plenty of gripes. But what I'm liking is this sort of theme. Like last season, we had I thought a really great through line about grief, and this season I'm really liking that we're focusing a lot on choosing who you want to be or choosing the face you present to the world. Locke doesn't want to be like the other Breen, and he's punished for that originally. You know, he's I guess by their culture he's supposed to be a celebrated nepo baby, but he is in fact just, you know, checking cargo crates at the docks.
Right.
And he keeps trying and fit in. He keeps trying to fit in. And eventually through his choices, he chooses to become the only Breen we've ever seen not wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
He's in a solid form most of the time, which is not a Breen thing to do, apparently, because that's the face he chose. That's who he chose to be. Yeah. The crew of the Enterprise chose to be better. The ISS Enterprise chose to be better. They left to join the Federation. Rayner is choosing to be better, choosing to be more of a team player. Even Booker chose to be Cleveland Booker, and I'm betting he's going to find himself not as comfortable as he's been with that choice as he learns more about a different perspective of this sort of this name and what it represents. And he might say, man, maybe that's not me. Maybe I want to be better.
Right.
And I love that. I love that you get to choose who you're going to be.
You nailed it. Yeah. I love that as the moral / meaning / message in this episode. Everybody who we got to see had a moment like that for this story. And it's a little, look, I don't feel like the titles always have to hit you on the head. The mirrors here, I thought, obviously a nod to the mirror universe, but I also felt like the duality of the characters, where you've got a Breen who is solid / liquid form as a mirror to the other Breen who are there. Like, who is he going to be? Who are they going to be? I feel like they're finally, here we are 5 seasons in, and they're finally giving these characters a bit more depth where they get to take time with it. One of my favorite things here is that we came back to Culber having been profoundly changed by his experience, changing his outlook on the world. And we get to sit with that for a moment instead of in kind of the classic Trek tradition where you introduce that and then you come back next week and we've forgotten it all and you just move on as if the character never changed, you know. By the way, I do want to jump over to the comments here really quickly, just some fun ones in there. Paul Wright saying boiled cake sounds horrible. May very well be. Carrie asking, was the Mirror Enterprise really the Strange New World set? I believe so.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, because there's not multiple of those. And, let's see. Sorry, I think I missed one of the comments there. I'll get back to it. But Brandon, since we are running a little bit short, just want to ask if you've got a another comment or question or thought to share with us, and then we'll go to our next caller.
I think I'm just going to part on what everybody else is sort of saying about missing Oo and Detmer and Nilsson. And I feel like after last season, I am imagining that meeting where Burnham is saying, "You guys, we've really gotten to know you, and you really came together as a crew, like we need to do, like what Starfleet is all about. Now get off my ship."
Right.
See ya.
Perfectly said.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Brandon. A
Thank you,
pleasure
guys.
as
Take care.
always. We will see you next time. Before we jump to our next caller, Mark, who is waiting here in the wings, I found the comment that I was looking for, and I missed it when I scrolled up. Ryan says, "Can someone explain the timeline of the ISS Enterprise to me? Like, why was Mirror Saru on the Enterprise after the events of Mirror Mirror?" I had that same thought, Holly. I assume that you had a similar thought where, okay, we have what happened in Discovery's first season with the Mirror Universe.
Right.
And yeah, and we met the Saru there, and we assume then, at least Burnham assumes he is the person who makes these changes. But if you fast forward a decade-ish, 15 years or so in that timeline, well, then you land at the events of Mirror Mirror. And of course, she
Yep.
even calls out Spock, "Oh, that's where my brother would have been." I'm like, "Oh, wow, you remember that you have a brother called Spock." And apparently this is something the show doesn't remember. So I was trying to figure that out too, because in my mind, the events of Mirror Mirror, it is indeed Spock who, contrary to what she assumes, I'm sure he was as brutal as the rest of them, he is the one who brings about the revolution to be a less brutal Mirror Universe, which by the time we catch up with it again, it was still brutal. So yeah, I wasn't sure how that would play out
But
in
there,
the timeline in the Mirror Universe.
the Terran Empire also, though, not just the ISS Enterprise, but the Terran Empire, like we don't really know the timeline of the Terran Empire either, because we don't know when it was established, and we don't know
Yeah.
how far it goes. Like this obviously took place prior to crossover, which was Deep Space Nine episode, because the Terran Empire is defeated by
Oh, yeah.
Cardassia, the Cardassia Klingon alliance. So there's a lot of missing pieces, which I
Yeah.
think for the writers is great, because then they can, fill in gaps and stuff. But there's a lot of timeline gaps.
Yeah,
for Mirror Universe.
I can't put too much stock in it, because you could always say, like, it was funny to me that Book even said, "Oh, it's the Mirror Universe," as if like this is just a singular thing that everybody knows about. But if we're going with the idea of multiverses, where there would be an infinite number of mirror universes, there's one mirror universe that looks like that Enterprise, there's another mirror universe that looks like another Enterprise, there's a mirror universe where it's all the same, but everything is 6 inches to the left. So we don't really know. And I wish I had a better answer for you, Ryan, but maybe people here in the chat will help us figure it out as we go. Let us go to our next caller, Mark. Mark, thanks for standing by. How's it going tonight?
Good, John, and yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. Pleasure to see you. And what is on your mind about the show tonight?
Well, I wanted to come in and discuss. I was at a con this weekend, so I only just caught up on the show today. Hence why I'm still in uniform from what I was wearing at the convention. As a little
very cool,
as a little tribute to one of my other fandoms, and I know Earl, our other tech producer, Earl Green, also knows the series quite well. So I wore it as a bit of a tribute to him. I just wanted to say, I feel like so far this episode is really building this past episode and this episode really are starting to remind me of how they're doing, instead of one individual episode of Tapestry, this entire season's like Tapestry of where they're building the things that help to make the character. Like last week it was how Burnham through time went from when she was the mutineer on Discovery to becoming the captain, the importance of that. And then this one, it's the relationships that she's built with people that are further built on this, that have helped her to be able to get where there is. And I just can't help but think of Picard from Tapestry. It's like a tapestry of where you pull on the thread and it all pulls together. And I really feel like this episode's this season's really doing that. Is that's unintentional send off of the franchise and the characters, and I think that's a really neat perspective to show. We really only a couple of characters have their character growth comparatively compared. Like the whole joke of the Bridge Bunnies. There seems to be a lot of them on Discovery compared to other, like even the original Star Trek, where they really fleshed out the majority of the characters. So you're missing that, but the ones that they are do, I think, have become really strong in their own characters. And I've been following along in the chat a bit, and I feel like could be a setup for the Star Trek Academy show in the future of some of these characters going there and their experiences. And I think, as an academic myself, having gone through, I don't want to say how many years of university now, but it's probably 14 or 15 now. We're pretty close. I feel that the relationships you get there are really helpful and really strong. And I think I hope that whatever we see for the future, that we'll see some of these characters pop back some way, especially with the freedom to have more shows in the future, since there's no canon that prevents them from getting into issues of why they had to jump Discovery into the future in the first place to start, because they were getting close to starting to trample on existing canon, and then it's just a headache after that when they do that. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens going on with the character growth and that tapestry building that they've been doing.
That's an interesting thought. I was just a moment ago talking about how we're not seeing all these characters that were introduced in Discovery. And I feel like Discovery is a show that constantly is trying to ramp up the action and raise the stakes. And I haven't put too much thought into what my expectations or desires are for an Academy show, but I wouldn't mind it if they kind of tone things down a bit, just slow it down a moment and let us spend some time, with some of these characters who we have not really gotten to know, or at least are not being given much screen time in this season. So that's a good point. Yeah, Holly, any thought?
I'm looking at chats. I'm sorry, I'm distracted.
No, fine. What's happening over there?
Somebody was saying that Hoshi is the one that established the Terran Empire, which is true, but the universe goes back way before that.
Yeah.
Because if you consider the intro to Enterprise, when they're doing a Mirror Universe episode, we see stuff way, 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 way back. And so if the Mirror Universe is like a branch off of our universe, that like something happens somewhere and it branches off, sort of the way that the Kelvin universe did, it changed in 2233. We don't know what that changes. That's the piece that's missing.
But we've talked about that before, that it could have gone back centuries,
Yeah, I mean, we see 1700s style boats and stuff, like we don't know if it is a branch off, we don't know where it branches. So that's information that's missing.
Yep, exactly. Mark, if you don't have a final comment, I
actually do have a question for Mark, though.
Oh, please. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
I got distracted in this episode, and I wanted to see if you had been distracted too. It's in my notes. When they walk onto the bridge, it's Tilly, she beams onto the bridge, and there's a whole bunch of lens flare.
Yeah.
And I got super, super distracted. Did you notice that? Did you get distracted too?
Yes, as well as with the blinking lights that they use. They made the warning, but the blinking lights also did impact me for not compared to some of my friends who's are epileptic, and they wouldn't be able to watch this episode because the lighter way would cause them to have a seizure. But I definitely noticed the flashing lights and the lens flare, and the cinematography was really pretty, but it is definitely something that I noticed, and something that I know I really did see that blinking lights. And it's my worry is sometimes I know the lens flare is cool and all, but sometimes you have to think of people who can suffer from seizures and other things.
I mean, credit where credit is due, though. They did have a warning at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, which is great. Actually, they had it for the last episode and the this episode, and I really also noticed the flashing right at the start when they were saying last week on Discovery, when they showed the scene of the explosion that when the time bug effect started. I
Mhm.
Mhm.
definitely my sensory issues picked up that
Mm,
issues quite a bit.
yeah.
All right.
I also noticed that warning, and I was curious how that affected people in the audience. Very good to know.
Mm.
By the way, quick, very important update. We have another David in the chat. So
Oh!
now the Daves have fully. We have to recruit a new Paul. So if anybody out there knows another Paul,
Did
and
one
you
of the
guys
Daves go get another Dave to come into the chat?
maybe that could very well be it. I don't know what's going on back there, but yes, I that could have happened. Also, welcome to the chat, Shar. Good to see you tonight. Mark, thank you as always for your insights and ideas, and we will see you around soon. Okay.
Yes, and I just wanted to say Bondatory on our Discord is tomorrow, where we're
Yes.
looking at From Russia with Love. I just watched it today, and I look forward to, for the people who are Discord members, I look forward to our discussion in Russia with Love and the awesomeness of that movie, and I look forward to it.
Fantastic. Excellent. Thank you so
Neat.
much. Well, that is the perfect segue to just talk very quickly about Mission Log Patreon and Mission Log Discord, because of course Patreon is the key. That is your entry point to get into our Discord. I did have somebody email and say, wow, Discord sounds awesome. How do I get there? Well, you can get there for as little as $1 a month by signing up at our Patreon page. All tiers get access to our Discord. We thank you so much for your support, because every penny absolutely counts. It absolutely helps us keep these shows on the air and keep people like Earl behind the scenes working on all the entertainment and all of the commentary and community that we get to share with you. So, Holly, tell people real quick what is coming up in the live chat. This is just all in addition to the 24/7 text chats and our boards that are going on there, but the
Yeah,
live chats
let's
are
just the rundown.
blowing up. Yeah.
Zocalo, Disco Discord, the international chat, because some people
Mhm.
live on the other side of the planet.
Yes.
We do the Twilight Zone.
Mhm.
Now we're doing Bond. That's exciting.
Yes.
We have Kon-Tiki, and then we have Mission Log After Dark.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, there's almost something every day. Some of those are same nights, but there's almost something every day. And literally, no matter what part of the world you are in, you will find a time to join us, because we have our international chat, which originates out of Tokyo. So I thank you, Matthew, for putting that together. It's so cool. So much happening there. We won't bore you with all the details because there are so many callers lined up tonight. But remember, you can join us at patreon.com/missionlog. And again, for as little as $1 a month, if you want to share more, you can, but for as little as $1 a month, you would get access to our Discord, and you are supporting all of these fine people who bring you our shows. All right, so back to the show. Just a quick rundown here. We've got lined up joining us tonight Alan, Cherie, Nani, Dave, and Laura. We're definitely going to get to everybody, so here we go. Without further ado, Alan, how's it going tonight?
We're doing great.
Good.
Good to see you guys. John,
Likewise.
Holly, how's it going tonight?
Pretty good. Pretty
Yeah.
good. A packed house, and that makes me very happy.
I know.
Yeah. You're on a very photogenic bridge there.
Well, I mean, I figure it's a popular spot this week. Everyone seems to be using it. Why not me? So,
yeah.
I'm still in the hallways of the Discovery.
Yes. Yeah. Looking
Well,
good though. Yeah.
Hey, that was a good hallway a couple weeks ago, so we're all good.
So, yeah, what's on your mind?
Well, I've got I know we've got a lot of people, so I'll sort of say right off the bat, I've got 2 points, kind of a fun, lighthearted point and a more serious point. I think we can start with the lighthearted one if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, Locke, he's a big softie, isn't he?
There was something about him from the beginning.
Yeah.
The name of the actor who he reminded me of is completely escaping me. But there was something so kind of grounded and just a little like unsure. Even though he was a badass, even
Yeah.
though he is now on the run, there are all these things, but there was always something about him compared to Maul that was just a little more innocent.
Yeah.
And I love, love, love the vulnerability, not only the emotional and character vulnerability, but like literally the physical vulnerability that we learned of him in this episode. Taking off the
Well,
mask,
yeah.
seeing them in that form, transitioning again. I mean, really, really heavy stuff. I mean,
We
yeah.
we should have known better though, John, because as you know, it's not easy being Breen. Having to spend each day inside an armored sleeve. Well, I think it could be nicer wearing red or blue or gold. Just a uniform more colorful than that. But Breen are more than just helmeting. This Breen can act cool and friendly like. And Breen can be big like a Klingon, or important like a founder, or Maul's accessory. When Breen were just a mystery. It could make you wonder why, but why wonder? Why wonder? I am Breen, and I think that's fine. We're mutable, and I think that's what I want to be.
Wow.
Oh my
Fabulous.
God! Look, he has him.
Fabulous.
I think if I move him close enough, yeah, his face gets translucent too.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. He starts
Oh.
to phase out a little bit. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
Incredible. Thank you for that.
If you come
that
into the
beautiful
Discord,
moment.
if I manage to make one of the chats, there might be a longer version of that song.
Ah, nice. Hey,
I decided to cut a verse for time.
I want to ask you real quick. For both of you, and like me, we've been seeing or hearing about the Breen and seeing glimpses of the Breen since DS9. And I don't know if you would ever kind of imagine, well, what is under that helmet? What are they like? Was this a satisfactory payoff for that, for, a couple of decades worth of wondering?
I'll say yes. I think that's
Okay.
a good. I mean, it's a solid looking makeup. It looks a little. It's standard Glenn Hetrick makeup, but it's good.
Mm-hmm.
And I like. It took me a couple of watches, and then I went back and I watched the premiere again, and I noticed that his head did that thing too when they took their helmets off.
Oh.
So
Mm.
I'm like, okay, now that makes sense.
Okay.
So
Oh, I need to go back and check that scene out again. Nice.
yeah,
I think I think the makeup's really good, but I only have one complaint, and it's the actor's ability to enunciate in that makeup.
Yeah.
a little bit, yeah.
He's asked Maul asks him, why didn't you kill him? And he says, I had to rewind it 3 times and then turn on captions to figure out what he said. He said he raised me,
Yeah.
for the record. And I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he's a big old softie. But I was like, I couldn't make that out. And I think it's because he can't enunciate in that makeup.
Well, but
Yeah.
now we know why the Breen always sound like
Yeah.
it's the same. They can't hear each other anyway.
Yeah.
It translates to dead mouse speech. Yeah.
By the way, Mark in the chat mentioning transparent skull. I thought that was Captain Boday's whole shtick. That was his thing,
There can be 2 races with transparent skulls.
Okay, fair enough. What is your other comment observation? Yeah.
The serious point, and one
Yeah.
that you brought up earlier, why the Enterprise?
Oh, dude.
Here I will advocate for this choice thusly.
Okay.
Think about the people that were on that ship when it transitioned over from the mirror universe.
Mhm.
Refugees,
Mhm.
outcasts, people who look at their world and see that it's not what they want it to be. It's a little bit cruel, maybe a lot cruel. Things aren't fair. But they get on that ship and they hope that it takes them someplace better. They have hope, like Michael says, that there's going to be freedom. They hope that people will be treated fairly, that that everyone will get a shot, that it'll take them to a place where maybe there isn't hunger or hatred or fear or a lot of the issues that plague their society. Isn't that what we do when we watch this show? We get on that ship. And if that's the case, how could it not be the Enterprise?
Well said.
And that's my point.
Well said. I love that. Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all, because I think thematically that works so perfectly. I wish that they hadn't already played that hand earlier.
A little bit, yeah.
Like I think if you save the Enterprise for a moment like that really truly counts, then I'm on board. I mean, I'm on board with what you just said anyway. I think even more on board if they hadn't done it. You know,
they had discussed other options, though. It wasn't always going to be the Enterprise. They had a few. This is one of the co-writers, Carlos Cisco, says there were a few pitches, like one with an old science vessel from the 23rd century stuck inside the planet of liquid mercury. But ultimately they chose Mirror Universe Enterprise because they already had a bridge.
Because they had it. Exactly.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that that's not the real reason, but that's the reason.
Yeah.
When I thought about it, I was like, okay, this makes sense to me, and hopefully it helps for other people too.
Yeah. Nicely said. Well, thank you so much, Alan. I appreciate it. We're going to move on to our next caller, and we will see you again soon.
Adios. Have a good one.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Welcome back to the show, Cherie. Good to see you. Welcome, of course,
Hello.
from the Cerritos. How are you
Yes.
tonight?
I'm going to be here until they uncancel it.
Yeah. Yes. All right.
That's my plan.
Agreed.
This is where I'm going to stay. This is my ship.
Fantastic. Well, what is on your mind tonight about disco?
I actually really liked Fallen Locke's love story. I feel like I bought it more than I still buy that they're super scary. I think they've gotten better at being like they do clever things. I'm like, okay, sure. But I like the fact that instead of just telling me they're in love, they actually showed that. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
And I bought the story. I thought they had good chemistry. I liked the story.
I just feel like it felt rushed, but they only have a certain amount of time to show us these things.
There's so many episodes of Star Trek where, Dax meets someone, their planet is gonna go into a different parallel dimension, and she's like, well, I love this person, so I'm just gonna completely leave everything to be
to be fair, some of those episodes I'm like, Sub Rosa, I'm like, girl, no, that's...
I feel like this was better than those episodes. I feel like I got this sense. I feel like they gave me a sense that it did happen over time. I also kind of feel like Maul is encountered more than just Breen. Like, I feel like she's hung out with lots of other people in her career. So I feel like she's seen the range of men so far.
And this is the one she chooses, so it's not for lack of options.
Yeah. Like, okay. I feel like she, she's seen plenty of other guys, and she likes this one.
and I like the detail, though. I like how she nailed it with that subtle detail. Like, I know the cipher, the glyph on his uniform. I know what that means. You're here. You're an outcast. And sizes him up. And I thought I bought all of that. Mm-hmm. And I think partly because the actors just played it so well. I think she really came into her own now in this episode for me. Whereas before I just kept thinking like, okay, they're just doing this Bonnie and Clyde bit and they're just kind of running around shooting people. But now that we've seen the backstory instead of just being told, it played much better for me.
But it also gives them clear motivation too. Like, I understand each of their motivations now.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. What else? What else do you think, Cherie?
I do hope that Locke is okay. I know probably, but I'm like, we only saw that he got stabbed and she didn't go and seek medical help. so I hope he's
Yeah.
okay.
No. If he's not, and if she loses him, this is the
Rampage.
tragic love story.
I will not be.
Yeah.
I will not be happy about that though, because I don't want to see that story. I kind of would
No.
rather see them like succeed, like just as in like understand that their vision of success is not the right vision of success, but
Right.
like I would like
Right.
them to be together. I
But
like
here's the
them.
difficult thing, though. It's as I don't want to speculate too much about the end. I've not watched ahead. I don't know how else it ends because the Breen, and there are a lot of them, they're after this guy. The Erica is not something you just get rid of. And his assumption is, oh, yeah, this fantasy device will take care of my problems. Well, maybe only if it's used in the wrong way, and there's a lot of other people who are going to prevent you from doing that. So
I'm
I don't know where else
hoping
we
maybe
go.
they find the right way to use it and that it can help
Yeah.
protect people.
I hope so. That sounds like a very Star Trek thing to me.
Yeah.
Well, Cherie, thank you so much. We are going to move to our next caller, and we look forward to having you back on the show. All right.
Sounds good. All right.
Take
Have a
care.
good night. Thanks.
Have a good night.
There's a comment.
So what? What's the comment?
Chris Riker in the comment says at least Burnham didn't tell them their own backstory.
Bravo, Chris.
Shots fired.
I love it. All right, all the way from Hawaii, it is Dr. Nani. Welcome to the show. How's it going tonight?
Going well, going well. A little tired, but you know, I've got a friend coming in from Columbus, actually, Ohio. I used to live here for our kids' graduation next week. So
Excellent.
yeah.
Fantastic.
But I was like cleaning bathrooms and stuff before this in the whole time.
Hey, weren't we all? What is on your mind about the show tonight? Always looking forward to your interesting perspectives and insights.
Well, I wanted to say that I actually really do believe that Mal and Locke are in love.
Mhm.
And I actually thought it was quite impressive that the way that they showed it, at least the way that it appeared to me, that that it was really a commitment, was that when after Locke had shot his uncle and is telling Mal to take off so that she can run away and go to her colony and be safe, and she's like, no, come with me, and he's like, no, because I'll be hunted forever, and then she's like, but we'll be hunted. And it's like that understanding of what it means to truly be in a partnership, whether it's marriage or whatever. It's just, that whatever happens to one happens to both, whether it's good, whether it's bad, it's them together. And, that's just something that not everybody gets, and so I thought that was actually a really good way of showing that, at least for Mal, she really was in love with him, and that she was willing to take on this, this blood bounty, right? Because she loves him and she's willing to be with him. So I thought that was, a good way of showing that.
I feel like there's, for a less sophisticated writer putting together a story like that, there's kind of always the easy way out, where it's like, well, one is going to betray the other. They're bad guys, so we're just going to make them have this kind of rotten to the core thing, and we'll be able to dispatch one of them because one will do something else. But point after point after point in this episode, and in previous episodes too, but especially this episode, they have been there for each other. And even when separated, even when contemplating their next moves, it's like, no, how do we do this together? How do we figure this out together? And it's really nice to see. And I don't think Star Trek has always done too well with the anti-hero types, but here we have, what's that?
I said I agree. Yeah. Definitely.
And here we have this opportunity where you created a couple of people who from the beginning you're not supposed to like, because they were immediately at odds with quote unquote the good guys. But now we've given them way more texture and way more understanding as people. And that is something that Star Trek tends to do well. So nice to see. Yeah.
You guys, David Takechi in the chat is quoting my favorite movie of all time.
Speed.
Yes. David
would you-
Takechi,
yeah.
he says, I think they are in love, but the relationship seems based on extreme circumstances. Such situations 100% never work out in the end.
Uh-huh.
That's the
Yeah.
entire premise of Keanu and Sandy in that movie.
Oh my God.
Like,
Oh my
are
God.
you quoting Speed?
They did this for you. They did. Hey, by the way, there's a comment here, probably somebody new in the chat. Star Trek Appreciation Society says, nice to see Discovery not be bashed. Finally, some intelligent conversation. Thank you. And thank you on behalf of everybody who puts together every piece of mission log. Norman, Earl, Holly, Heather, Shar, Mike, Jessica. I'm leaving people out and I apologize, but it is a big team here. And part of the whole thing, if you're new, is that we want to be critical, but always constructive and thoughtful and get to the heart of what's going on with these episodes, not just pick them apart. We want to talk about what they mean because that is far more important than sitting here and nitpicking. So welcome. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the show. And we will try to always uphold that. Oh, yeah. And Carla says that Rod guy. Rod is also part of this occasionally. So,
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Nani, we got a couple more callers. Any wrap-up thoughts tonight?
Let's see. I want to see more Grudge. I want that baby grand piano.
Not nearly enough Grudge in this season. Yeah.
I will play the Rainbow Connection and Alan can sing.
Nice.
Oh,
yeah. See,
I will pay to see that.
Yes, 100%. Alan,
and
you guys connect.
Yeah, and then boiled cakes. It's a thing. I mean, it's a thing here. I mean, technically, it's steamed, right? But you have like my mother is from rural Malaysia, and so my grandmother. They didn't have an oven. I mean, they literally cooked with, on a fire. And so when she would make cakes, she actually would have them in a pot where it's steaming. And it actually ends up being a really moist cake because instead of it being the dry heat of the oven, you've got the moist, steam instead. And there's one that's, I texted my mom, like, what's the one with the glutinous rice on the bottom and the daun pandan, thing on top? And she's like, surimuka. I was like, okay, yes, that one. So yeah, there are plenty of boiled cakes that are, on this planet. So it's not as weird as people think it is.
I'm not opposed. I've my family background is different, but from the from the British Isles, a steamed pudding. So I'm completely on board with that. So
there's that carrot pudding. I've done that one before too. Carrot pudding.
Oh, yeah. I would like to have one of those with our citrus mash.
Oh my God. Oh, you are giving me ideas. Okay. We'll talk tomorrow.
And we're adding to the things I apparently need to bake for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the thank yous. Yes.
All right. Have a great night. We will see you next time, I hope.
And I'll see you on Wednesday.
Yes, yeah. For Tuvix. I cannot wait to hear your students' comments about that show. All right.
Me too. All right.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Till then. Bye-bye. All right. We've got one of the Daves. One of the Daves checking in with us tonight. Dave, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Hi, great. It's going well. Thanks for having me on.
Terrific. Well, what is on your mind about disco this week?
Well, another Mirror Universe episode. I was thinking a lot about kind of Mirror Universe stuff. What do you think the Starfleet of the 32nd century, would they have like a full account? Do they know everything that we know about the Mirror Universe? Would they still have those records?
Burnham mentioned at one point the inability to cross between universes for centuries. And my Discovery earlier season knowledge is a little rusty. So I guess the only thing that they would have would be from prior to that point. So it's really sort of going to end with that period with, the Burnham and then the Kirk era Mirror Universe. I mean, I guess whatever existed in the Federation database at that point, presumably they have a backup of whatever was in that database.
You'd assume so. Yeah.
Yeah, that made it to the 32nd century. So, yeah, but it seems like the details would be pretty sketchy. It was funny to me, and I wrote it down somewhere in my notes here, that she actually says to Book, the internal layout and system should be roughly the same. And I thought, yeah, except evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
you
evil
know,
version of the same.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't
I
really
noticed that too
know.
about the several centuries of no crossovers, and I was wondering if there was a reason for that, or just that there were no Star Trek shows set during those periods. So we're
Yeah,
just going to skip that,
right,
That
right,
one.
And so, yeah, that
right.
one. Yeah.
Now, it's somebody in the chat. I'm sure that you can correct us, but there is something in there. There is a canon explanation of why we don't have the mirror, and then suddenly, here it is, and it's the Enterprise.
It's back.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. What else are you thinking tonight?
Well, just one other little tidbit about the mirror universe I just thought of. So if there's a counterpart of every person over there, is there also a mirror universe Grudge over there? And if so, what's he like?
Yeah, Holly.
I don't know.
Earl says it's Grudge with a goatee.
Good answer.
That's a
Is it
Grudge
still
with
going to be a cat though? Because I was thinking like if it could be like a more angry, like it could be a Klingon Targ. Like he could have
be
a
a
Klingon
Targ.
Targ for a pet.
Could be a
Interesting.
Salat. Yeah, could be all kinds of things. I see. My thing about I have many problems with the mirror universe,
Right.
but they're always killing each other. And at some point, somebody is going to kill the ancestor of one of the characters we already know.
Oh boy, I never even thought of that.
Right? You don't have a Chekhov in the mirror universe. Somebody killed his great grandparents, and look at Holly. We were talking about First Contact. I mean, look at that moment in First Contact. Somebody just killed a Vulcan. Who may be related to a Vulcan that we are supposed to know in the future.
Well, like the what's not said on screen is that is actually supposed to be Spock's like great grandfather or something.
Oh,
so,
really?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, there's
See?
your case in point.
It's not said on
Yeah.
screen. It's just something that they sort of thought of. That's who it's supposed to be. Yeah. So, Zephyr Cochrane taking him out. Well, now Spock doesn't exist.
See, this is why I have a problem. Again, many reasons. I could write a book, and I think Paul Harvard will join me. We will write a book about the problems with the mirror universe. I think even when Picard season 2 started messing around with that, I feel like at least they took it a little bit different direction, but there is still too much familiarity. It's like, no, it's not the Federation, it's the Confederation. And we still know, like 7 of 9 exists in that world as Annika Hansen, not assimilated, which was interesting. At least that was a change. Dom said, John, you should write a book.
Well, wait, Alan says life finds
a way. Yeah, but not if they're killing each other all the time. I don't know about
life
that.
didn't find a way. Life ended.
Exactly. Dave, we got one more caller lined up tonight. I'm going to ask you if you got a final thought for us.
Nothing big. Just thanks for having me on the show. It's my first time on the live show, but I've been listening to you for a long time. So you guys are great. And thanks to all those people you listed earlier from me as well.
Hey, thank you. And you are always welcome. Please join us here whenever you can. We'll see you next time, okay?
Sounds great.
Take care. And thanks for filling out the Dave quotient, too.
Oh, yeah.
Really appreciate
By the way,
that.
someone in the chat mentioned these are the Daves I know, and I did get the Kids in the Hall reference. So
bravo!
Yes. Good stuff. Yeah. That's been one of my favorite songs for a long time. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. You have a great night. Take care.
You too. Take care now.
All right. And wrapping up our show tonight with some comments about this week's Discovery episode, it's Laura. Laura, welcome to the show.
Hi there. Hi, John. Hi, Holly.
Hi.
Second time back for me. So glad to be here.
How's it going? And what is on your mind?
I'm doing all right. The first thing that not obviously, but the first that early in the show, there's always something that makes me want to get out of the show. And I'm like, stop distracting me. But the whole Tilly and Paul Stamets being like, yeah, we just recalibrated our sensors. And I'm like, oh, is it that easy? Just recalibrate?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, trying to compare to real world, make a real world comparison. Is like, there's all this dark matter, dark energy in the world. We don't know what it is. Black holes. Let's just recalibrate our sensors. We'll figure it out.
Did you catch the in joke at the end when they're techno babbling though? When they say hexagonal pattern?
Yes, and I was like, okay, is that a WandaVision reference?
Hexagons are
Go
just
ahead.
a joke, like an in joke, and that's why when he's asked why, Rayner asked, "Why will that work?" and he's like, "Oh, it'll work." Like,
I put that in my notes, and I hope Chris is still watching because I quoted a precise hexagonal pattern. Rayner says why, and he clearly doesn't know that hexagons are the bestagons. Thank you to a good friend who explained that to me. Now, look, I would have, I'm such a weirdo. I would have made a whole scene, multiple scenes out of all of that because I really liked when Tilly crashes sickbay and she's like, yeah, I've been following this EPS conduit from here to, 3 decks, and now I'm down here, and she opens up this panel down by the floor. I think that could have been like a running gag through the whole episode. Not necessarily for high comedy, but just the idea that they have to do the work. And then it is kind of fun that you get to have these overlapping conversations with that. So she takes a moment with Culber there that then has a payoff in the end. I honestly, I would have liked more conduit chasing in my Star Trek. Thank you very much. By the way, Alan says that they needed 47 hexagons.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic.
Yeah, you're hired. Yeah. What?
I've started seeing 47 everywhere now, everywhere I go. So
Everywhere.
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah. I did, if I had an appointment at an office building downtown, and if it was on the 46th floor, or sorry, yeah, I would go to 47 and then walk down. I would just make sure that I put in an appearance at 47 for sure.
very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
What else are you thinking tonight as we wrap things up?
I really like Maul and Locke. I appreciate more of their story because that gets me more invested in them. But then listening to some of the conversations tonight, I was like, okay, it's going to be upsetting when it doesn't end so well for them. So I need to not be so emotionally invested.
I think you and Cherie might need to form a support group.
Yeah,
So,
maybe so.
Yeah.
But
All
I'm
right.
also very upset that there's only 5 episodes left. Like,
Yeah.
why is it flying by, as we are using the flying term?
Well, we've gotten more of Disco in past seasons. Remember, they started with 15.
Yeah.
And didn't they go to 13? I felt like since they went back to shoot some other stuff, I don't know if our finale will be a little longer, or I thought they might have squeezed in an 11th episode, something like that. Yeah. Not sure.
I mean, and then I know there's talk of movies in the future, so I'm like, okay, let's see how far we get with that.
Right. Exactly.
I just need as much Star Trek as I could possibly get. And I can say, give props to Mission Log and the whole Roddenberry network. There is so much. I am so behind. I'm only like season 4 of Deep Space Nine, and I only caught up with Mission Log Live with Discovery so I could join you on this season.
Wow.
So I have so much to do.
Hey, it'll only take you about a dedicated year of 1 episode a day. So
I
we'll
mean, I
catch
do
you.
a lot of driving, but not
There we
as
go.
much as I like.
Well, you're welcome to join us anytime, whether you are caught up or not. We love all the opinions and all the discussion around it. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Laura.
Have a
We'll
good
see you
night.
next time. Take care. By the way, before we close tonight, as we were talking about 47 being the Star Trek number, special shout out to our own Paul Wright, turning 47 on Friday.
Yeah, 47.
Preemptive Star Trek birthday celebration. So, yeah, we'll wish you that happy birthday now, and we'll definitely do it again on Friday, Paul. Happy birthday to you, friend. Holly, any particular note you didn't get to tonight? Something that's just like burning to get off your
The
chest
hexagon
about
was, but we got it. I got it.
We nailed it. Thank goodness we got the hexagon. All right. With that, thank you everybody for joining us. Mission Log Live is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment. Technical production on Mission Log Live is by the inadvertible Earl Green. Be sure to visit podcast.roddenberry.com for the latest from Roddenberry podcasts. If you'd like to support Mission Log directly, give us a look at patreon.com/missionlog. Thank you to everyone who joined us live or later. We look forward to seeing all of you for Discovery Episode 6, Whistle Speak, next week.
This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.